ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 35, the Gopis Sing of Krishna. Text 8 to 11. So we can repeat the first eighth and then okay. अनुचरै समनुवर्णितवीर्य आदिपुरुष इवाचलभूतिः वनचरो गिरितटेषु चरन्ति वेणुना हवयति गा सदा यदा हि अनुचरैः समनुवर्णितवीर्य आदिपुरुष इवाचलभूतिः वनचरो गिरितटेषु चरन्तिः वेणुना वयति गा स यदा हि अनुचरैः समनुवर्णितवीर्य आदिपुरुष इवाचलभूतिः वनचरो गिरितटेषु चरन्तिः वेणुना हवयति गा स यदा हि आदिपुरुष इवाचलभूतिः वेषु चरन्ति सदा हि अनुचरन्तमनतवीर्य आदिपुरुषचरणाभूतिः वनचरोगिरितटेषु चरन्ति वेणुना हवयति गा सदा हि. Mataji's. अनुचरै समनुवर्णितवीर्य चलभूतिः वनचरो गिरितटेषु चरन्ति वेणुना हवयति यदा सदा हि. Okay. So I'll read the next 3 shlokas. Vanalatastavara atmani vishnum vyanjayantya iva pushpafaladhyaha pranatabharavitapa madhudharaha premahrushtatana vo vavrushusma darshaniya tilako vanamala divyagandhas tulasi madhumattaihi अलीकुलय रघु गीतमभीष्टम् आद्रियं यर्हि सन्धितवेणुः सरसीसारहं विहङ्गाश चारुगीतहृच्चेतस एत्य हरिमुपासत ते यच्चित्ता हन्तमलितदृशो धृतमौनाः. Word to word translation. anucharitah charaihi, by his companions. Samanuvarnita, being elaborately described. Viryaha, whose prowess. Adi Purushaha, the original personality of Godhead. Iva, as if. Achala, unchanging. Bhutihi, whose opulence. Vana, in the forest. Charaha, moving about. Giri, of the mountains. Tateshu, on the sides. Charantihi, who are grazing. Venuna, with his flute. Avah, ahvayati, calls. Gaha, the cows. Saha, he. Yada, when. He, indeed. Vanalataha, the forest creepers. Taravaha, the trees. Atmani, within themselves. Vishnum, the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Vyajantyayataha, revealing. Iva, as if. Pushpa, with flowers. Phala, and fruits. Adayaha, richly endowed. Pranata, bowed down. Bhara, because of the weight. Vitapaha, whose branches. Madhu, of sweet sap. Dharaha, torrents. Prema, out of ecstatic love. Rushta, hair standing on end. Tanavaha, on whose bodies. Trunks. Vavrushusma, they have rained down. Darshaniya, of persons who are attractive to see. Tilakaha, the most excellent. Vanamala, upon his garland made of forest flowers. Divya, divine. Gandha, whose fragrance. Tulasi, of the tulasi flowers. Madhu, by the swamps. Alaghu, Madhu, by the honey-like sweetness. Mattaha, intoxicated. Ali, of bees. Kulaihi, by the swans. Alaghu, strong. Geetam, the singing. Abhishtam, desirable. Adriyan, thankfully acknowledging. Yarhi, when. Sandhita, placed. Venuhu, his flute. Sarasi, in the lake. Sarasa, the cranes. Hamsa, swans. Vihangaha, and other birds. Charu, charming. Gita, by the song of his flute. Rita, taken away. Chetasaha, whose minds. Etya, coming forward. Harim, Lord Krishna. Upasata, worship. Te, they. Yat, under control. Chittaha, whose minds. Hanta, Milita, closed. Darshaha, their eyes. Dhruta, maintaining. Maunaha, silence. Translation. Translation and purport by servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation. Krishna moves about the forest in the company of his friends, who vividly chant the glories of his magnificent deeds. He thus appears just like the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exhibiting his inexhaustible opulences. When the cows wander into the mountain sides and Krishna calls out to them with the sound of his flute, the trees and creepers in the forest respond by becoming so luxuriant with fruits and flowers that they seem to be manifesting Lord Vishnu within their hearts. As their branches bend low with the weight, the filaments on their trunk and vines stand erect out of ecstasy of love of God, and both the trees and the creepers pour down a rain of sweet sap. Maddened by the divine honey like aroma of tulasi flowers on the garland Krishna wears, swarms of bees sing loudly for him, and the most beautiful of all persons thankfully acknowledges and acclaims their song by taking his flute to his lips and playing it. The charming flute song then steals away the minds of the cranes, swans, and other lake dwelling birds. Indeed, they approach Krishna, closed their eyes, and maintain strict silence, worship him by fixing their consciousness upon him in deep meditation. Purport. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has made several illuminating comments on these verses. He gives the analogy that just as when householder Vaishnava hears a Sankirtana party approaching, they become ecstatic and offer obeisances. So the trees and creepers in Vrindavan become ecstatic when they heard Krishna's flute and bowed low with their branches and vines. The word Darshaniya Tilaka in text 10 indicates not only the Lord is most excellent to see, but also that he decorated himself with the attractive reddish tilak taken from the mineral rich earth of Vrindavan forest. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti also points out that tulasi, although exalted in many ways, is not normally considered an especially fragrant plant. However, early in the morning, tulasi emits a transcendental fragrance that ordinary people cannot perceive, but that transcendental personalities fully appreciate. The bees who are privileged to swarm about the flower garlands worn by the Supreme Personality of Godhead certainly appreciate this fragrance. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes from Bhagavatam 3:15-19 to the effect that the most fragrant plants in Vaikuntha also appreciate the special qualification of Tulasi Devi. The word Sandhita Venuhu in text 10 indicates that Lord Krishna placed his flute firmly upon his lips, and the melody emanating from that flute is certainly the most enchanting of sounds, as the gopis describe in this chapter. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Goratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Okay. So before we start, I would like to take the blessings of all the senior devotees, all of you also, because we are discussing, these are very elevated topics just after the Ras Leela. So whatever we have heard and read, I'll try to discuss. So yesterday we had a great fortune to hear from His Grace Kamalochan Prabhu. Very nicely he was describing about the effect of the flute, how disastrous effect the flute has in the lives of devotees, specifically the gopis. And today the same conversation goes ahead. The gopis describing Krishna. When Krishna is going in the forest, how the moving, unmoving creatures, they respond to Krishna's calling. And it is very nice to see this section, that how the gopis, they see the whole atmosphere of Vrindavan, because this is the exact way by which we should see Vrindavan, not by our material vision. But when the highest of the devotees, gopis, when they are seeing Vrindavan, what they perceive is the highest reality. So this highest reality of Vrindavan is there in Srimad Bhagavatam through the words of gopis. So here in this 4 shlokas which we are discussing today is described about when Krishna enters the forest, and then how he deals, or how the trees, the birds, the cows, they respond to Krishna's calling. So here few important shlokas are, we are taking these 4 shlokas. In that some words are there which we'll try to understand through the commentary of acharyas. Many acharyas have given commentaries specifically on 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And by the mercy of Radha Ras Bihari Prabhu, I got some understanding from the Acharya's commentary that we'll try to discuss today. So this word anucharitaihi, that anucharitai word which comes in the beginning only, anucharaihi samanuvarnita virya, that the gopas, when they are going around Krishna, they have only one business: to play with Krishna, to glorify Krishna, to serve Krishna. All their activities are centered around Krishna only. They don't go to Vrindavan for their own enjoyment. So for them, picnic is not picnic if Krishna is not there. For them, the joy is not joy if Krishna is not there. So they are glorifying Krishna, and when Krishna is hearing their glorification, because that is the quality of the Lord, that he becomes very attracted when the devotees glorify him. Now we have to understand here that it is not that Krishna is like a ordinary person who likes his own glorification. Person in this world, material consciousness, consider very kind of third class if he is always looking who is glorifying me, because one is supposed to be grave, one is supposed to be not selfish. But here we find that Krishna is very happy when he sees his own glorification. So sometimes this question may be asked, that how can Krishna likes his own glorification? How is that spiritual? But then Krishna likes the glorification of his devotees not because it is about him, but then he likes because anything which is given out by devotees, he likes it. Whatever they offer, it is not only the glorification. Even if the devotees offer criticism, that also Krishna likes it very much. As we see in the case of gopis, sometimes they used to chastise Krishna, and that was very pleasing to the heart of Krishna. So whatever is given by devotees, Krishna accepts. Whether it is fruit, patram, pushpam, phalam, toyam. Not only fruit, even if you see that when Krishna went to Hastinapur, then he was offered not fruit, covering of the fruit. केले का छिलका दिया था, that also he accepts with great love. So the principle is that whatever devotees offer, fruit, flower, chilka, the criticism, even the arrows of Bhishma, Krishna was very pleased to accept. So that is the very special reciprocation Krishna has with his devotees. Even in Bhagavatam it comes that when Krishna started crawling, and then as you see that when the children are small, they are given the ghungru, this ankle bells. So when Krishna used to crawl, this ankle bells used to tinkle in very sweet sound. And when Krishna used to scroll on his knees and hands, and these bells used to ring very nicely. And Krishna used to become so attracted to this sound. So then he used to stop and look behind, that whether from where this sound is coming. This is so sweet, so special. And then he will not be able to figure it out from where the sound is coming. But he liked it very much. So then he again started. Then he understands that to the degree I scroll, the sound is coming. So just to hear that sound, he used to crawl. And then he used to go around and round, looking behind, again crawling. And that was a great fun for the gopis. The acharyas, they describe that anybody who is at the feet of the Lord makes any sound, Lord becomes happy. And then he says that devotees are always at the feet of the Lord. Whatever sound they make, tinkling sound, whatever way. So Krishna becomes very happy. So that gives us a hope that if we are sitting in front of Prabhupada in the morning for japa, if we are having this mood of surrender like devotees, whatever sound we make, Krishna will be very happily accepting it. So sometimes this question was asked to one devotee, that sometimes devotees say Rama, sometimes they say Ramo, sometimes while singing Hare Krishna. So this devotee was telling that the way Krishna is bhavagrahi, and he is not there sitting with a Sanskrit grammar, who is exactly chanting what. That doesn't mean that we should chant incorrectly. But the point is this, that Krishna becomes very pleased when he hears anything sung, uttered by his devotees. So that is anucharitaihi. When he hears that his friends are talking about his glories, then he becomes very pleased. And when he is pleased, he is lost in hearing their words, and the cows, they are dispersed. Cows go away. Then the cowherd boys, they are wondering where the cows went. Then all the gopas, they go for searching the cows. Now Krishna is alone. When Krishna is alone, then the next pastime happens. That when he is alone, he thinks that now cow has gone. Now he takes the flute to call out all these cows. So he says here that Anucharaihi samanu varnita virya adi purusha iva achala bhutihi. Here the acharyas, they described that achala bhuti, bhuti means the opulences, achala means those who are immovable, or they don't go away. So they say that the Lord, he is the Lord of Vaikuntha. When he comes as a cowherd boy wandering in the forest with cows, still he has the same opulence of Vaikuntha. Even he may be playing like a cowherd boy. And then they are glorifying him, all these cowherd boys. Adi Purusha Iva. Adi Purusha Iva means he is exactly like a Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they say that the gopis are telling that he looks exactly like Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Supreme Personality of Godhead. But then the gopis, they are in this mood that he is just a nice, beautiful, charming, young cowherd boy. So that is their vision to see. So when they give the analogy, they are giving analogy or comparison that he is going in the forest like Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they want to see that our Krishna is so nice that he looks exactly like Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vanacharo giritateshu charantir, that the cows are moving around the mountain and then they are eating very nice grass. Venuna ahvayati gas sayadahi. Then he calls out all these cows by taking out his flute. And then so that is another very interesting thing in Vrindavan. Even in Brahma Samhita, Brahmaji is acknowledging this Venu. That Venu, the flute of Krishna, is the constant companion of all the Vrindavan Vasis. So that the way yesterday also Prabhuji was telling that whenever we see peacock feather, the first person to be remembered is Krishna only. Similarly, wherever we see the flute, the first person to be remembered is Krishna only. So this Venu is very integral part of the life of cowherd boys, cows, gopis, everybody, all the creatures. So they all are bound by the sound of this capturing sound of Venu. So here he takes that Venu and then through that he is sounding it. So now here when Krishna is playing his Venu, the sound comes with so much of his love for the cows and all his devotees. That sound is received by each cow distinctly, as if calling her own name. And Krishna calls the names of these cows. One of the Acharya, I believe Jiva Goswami only. He says that when he is calling out the names of these cows, and many cows, they are named after many flowers like Malati, Champa, like that. So when Krishna calls out Malati, Champa, like that. So then Acharyas, they described that Champa flowers, Malati flowers, they are in great ecstasy. They are thinking that maybe Krishna is calling us. That comes the next. That how they respond, because they feel that Krishna is calling us only. They become very ecstatic. So here he says that Pranata Bhara Vitapa Madhu Dharaha Prema Rishta Tanavo Vavrushusma. Vana Latastavarava Atmani Vishnum Vyanjayantam Iva Pushpa Phaladhyaha. So when this Venu, which is played to call the cows, when that is heard by trees, creepers, like that, they feel great ecstasy. And then it is described here that how they respond to the flute of Krishna. Here he says that Vana Lata Taravaha. So here Lata is a feminine and Tarava, Vriksha, is like the masculine. So they're like Prabhuji and Mataji, like that. So then they become very ecstatic. And then the Chakratipad writes in the commentary that how the household family with husband and wife, they become greatly ecstatic when they hear the Sankirtan coming towards their house. So they are very feeling fortunate, happy, ecstatic. They go out and then they stand on the road, and when they see Sankirtan party coming, they bow down with great respect, with great happiness. Similarly, when Krishna's sweet sound of flute is coming, these Prabhujis and Matajis, the trees are like Prabhujis and all the creepers, they are like Matajis, they become very ecstatic. And what they do is bow down with great respect. And it says that Pranata Bhara Vitapa, that they bow down. Not only bow down, because they are feeling so much of ecstasy, so that ecstasy of getting Krishna in their heart through that sound. Yesterday also Prabhuji was telling that how that Krishna manifests through that sound and then that enters into their ears, that goes to the heart. So now they are having Krishna in their heart. So that's why here he says that Atmani Vishnum, that as if they are having Krishna, which is like Vishnu, pervaded everywhere, they are keeping that in heart. What is the manifestation of that? Keeping Krishna in heart, that manifests in the fruits and flowers. All these creepers, they bloom with so many fruits and flowers, just so that Krishna can come and they can give it. So, because the fruits and flowers, they are like the result of their being ecstatic, seeing Krishna, hearing Krishna, experiencing Krishna entering into the system. So here he says that how Vyanjayantam means they reveal their ecstasy of hearing Krishna. And then, so here, now we see that they are not called, Krishna is calling cows, but they imagine that Krishna is calling them. They become very ecstatic. So now here, one thing we have to understand is that in Krishna consciousness, what reality is has to be properly understood. Because one pastime comes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when he was there in Jagannath Puri. He went to the ocean side, and when he was coming, he saw a sand dune. You have gone that Chatak Parvat, where Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Matha is there. In front, there are some sand kind of dunes are there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw, and then he started running. He started running, so many thorny bushes were there, and he was so fast he was running because he was reminded of Govardhan. And then he was running. Govinda, he was aghast, he started running behind him. And all the devotees they were also running. So it was like a marathon only. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running with fast, full speed. And then everybody was trying to catch him. And he just went very close, and then he fainted. Like that. All the devotees, when we hear these pastimes, we feel, oh, very nice. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is running. But that time, when they are there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were so much worried that, something should not happen to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it was a great tension. So now, here we understand that was not Govardhan. That is what? It's a sand dune. So question comes is that a sand dune or it's a Govardhan? Is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in proper mood or he is mistaken? Is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu illusioned that, okay, no, this is Govardhan? So, it's like illusion means what is not, you perceive that. So, it is not Govardhan, but he perceived it is Govardhan. So, it fits in that definition, isn't it? So, that is not considered illusion. Rather, so that means reality divide of Krishna is illusion. And even if some illusion so-called appears with Krishna, that is the highest reality. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is seeing a sand dune and thinking that this is Govardhan, that is the highest reality. It's not illusion. Because Krishna is involved there. Krishna's love is increased there. So that means everything in this world, if it is not increasing our Krishna consciousness, that is illusion. Whatever reality it may be. Generally outside world they call it as real estate. Real estate business. I don't know why they call it real. So, but then they call it. But we know that it is not real. It is unreal. So they should actually call it unrealistic business. It's not. So, but then what real understanding, vision is one which takes us close to Krishna. This whole world is made for that purpose. That it should bring us close to Krishna. If that is not happening, that is illusion. And if that is happening with Chatak Parvat, that is the greatest reality. So we are also sitting here very close, PVR. So PVR means perverted vision of reality. That is called as PVR. So they show so many things in their screen which is perverted. And they show love, they show so many things, but it is perverted. But then there it is perverted. What we see here in Radha Ras Bihari, that is another PVR, and that is pure version of reality. So that pure version of reality means anything when it is connected to Krishna, anything which brings us remembrance of Krishna or his devotees, his service, then it is perfect vision. Once Prabhupada was seeing from his window, traffic was going on. And Prabhupada was quite intently seeing that traffic. So devotees were thinking, why Prabhupada is looking at this cars and buses going like that. Generally, you find people sitting for hours and hours in the train looking outside. Trees are going, rivers are crossing, and they have nothing to do. Sometimes you feel very pity for them. So they're just sitting there watching. So Prabhupada was watching like that. So then Prabhupada pointed out to one truck. He said this truck can be used as a Rath Yatra cart. Because we don't have Rath now. What we can make is that behind truck we can make it flat. And then we can keep Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra. We can make a canopy. And then it can become a Rath Yatra. So when Prabhupada was seeing that truck, he was not seeing truck. What he was seeing? He was seeing Jagannath Rath. So that is actual reality. So real vision is whatever you see, that you see in terms in close to Krishna, his service to Krishna. It gives bhava of Krishna. Then that is a real vision. So here also, so much description comes that the trees are ecstatic, and then the vines are ecstatic. The trees are giving up sap, and then so one may think that is it a imagination? Oh, this tree is in great ecstasy, and then let's imagine that this vine also is in ecstasy, the creeper. No, when everything which culminates in Krishna consciousness, when it gives us great appreciation for Krishna, it brings great joy of Krishna consciousness, then that is the highest reality. And then it says, Darshaniya tilako vanamala. So, the Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that this Darshaniya tilaka, Darshaniya means one who is very attractive to see. And that is Krishna. Tilaka means very special. So Darshaniya Tilaka means in one way that there are so many attractive personalities in this world, but among them very special is Krishna. So Darshaniya Tilaka represents Krishna. Another meaning which Chakravarti Pad gives is Darshaniya Tilaka means when Krishna goes in the forest, then he puts a tilak. You have seen Krishna having tilak? Sometimes they wonder why Krishna is putting tilak. Like, devotee can put, that's okay. So, I think Jiva Goswami Pad, he writes, because generally what the boys they do is they do the way the parents they do. So Nanda Maharaj is the best of the devotees. So Nanda Maharaj every day puts tilak. So if Nanda Maharaj is putting tilak, Krishna has to put tilak. Exactly the way Nanda Maharaj puts. So he is the son of Nanda Maharaj, who is a great devotee. So Krishna, when he goes inside the forest, he also puts tilak. And that tilak, as Chakravarti Pad says, that is reddish, red clay, he puts tilak. So he says, Darshaniya tilako vanamala. He has the mala, which is 5 different types of flowers, Vaijayanti mala. And then in between there is a tulasi flowers. So it is very attractive. Then he wears that. Divya Gandha Tulasi Madhumattaihi. Here Chakravarti Pad says that the tulasi which is there on the garland of Krishna, it's so fragrant. Divya Gandha Tulasi. And then he says that Divya Gandha means, many times Like here, Chakravarti Prabhupada quotes this verse from third canto. Mandara kunda kurabol palachampakarna punnaganaga bakulambujita parijata gandherchite tulasika bharanena tasya yasmin stapah sumanaso bahumanayanti. Although flowering plants like the mandara, kunda, karabaka, utpala, champaka, arna, punnaga, nagakeshara, bakula, lily and parijata are full of transcendental fragrance, they are still conscious of the austerities performed by Tulasi. Yasmin tapaha sumanaso. For Tulasi is given special preference by the Lord, who garlands himself with Tulasi leaves. So, Tulasi is fragrant. It may not be, when it comes to fragrance, these are the plants which are known for fragrance. Like this Mandara, Kunda, Utpala, Champaka, Punnaga, Nagakeshara, Bakula, etc. So these are known for fragrance. Tulasis are not generally categorized as fragrant flowers or fragrant leaves. But here we find that Tulasi is considered very fragrant, and then Krishna is very happy to have that fragrance. That's why he's wearing. So we see that anything which attracts Krishna is actually the beauty, is actually the fragrance, is actually the service. So, for example, the Tulasi, because of her austerities to achieve Krishna, when she is there, that attracts Krishna very much. Tulasi's austerities, her service, her mood of surrender to Krishna, that attracts Krishna very much, which pleases him. So in this world also, what we consider actual beauty is not what we see to our eyes. The real beauty is which Krishna's eyes are satisfied to see. That is real beauty. So the beauty of devotee is not how he wears, nice dress, how he presents himself. The real beauty which actually attracts Krishna is that his service attitude when he serves. So that service attracts Krishna. That becomes the real beauty. The most beautiful person of this world is attracted to something that has to be really beautiful. So the real beauty of here, specifically all this cows, all these trees and forest bushes and gopis, that is not something which is material. So Krishna is attracted by the service rendered with proper consciousness. That becomes the real beauty which attracts Krishna. So here says that Divya Gandha Tulasi Madhumattaihi. By that fragrance, even the bees they come and they are hovering. You can imagine, Krishna is there. Now cows have gone, the gopas have gone for calling cows, and Krishna is playing flute, and he is alone having this flower which is so intoxicating. And then thousands of the bees, they are attracted. So generally when the bees, they attack sometimes. But here they are attracted to Krishna because of the fragrance which is emanating. So Krishna is practically covered by these bees. And then the bees are trying to go as close as possible to Krishna. And then they are, buzzing, zzz, like that. And when they are buzzing, as here he says, Alikulair laghu geetam abhishtam. So these bees are humming, that is abhishtam. Krishna is very much pleased by that. He likes it very much. Adriyan yarhi sandhita venuhu. Adrian means he respects it, that you are singing very nicely. So you see here that Krishna also is accepting even a simple buzzing sound of these bees when it is sung in very heartfelt Krishna conscious manner. We remember this pastime of when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was doing his final pastimes. Many devotees used to come and sit for singing for him. Even Prabhupada, when he was passing away from this world, many devotees used to come in his room and then they used to sing for him. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he was having his final pastime, devotees used to come and sit. So one devotee who was considered very melodious, he was called and then he was singing. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said that, no, you call that another devotee. So that another devotee came. He was not a very good singer, but then Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati called him. So he came and he started singing. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was very happy. So later on, other devotees, they say that that's how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was telling that the real singing which attracts is his consciousness in the heart, not just a sound. So here we see that the bees are humming. Now the humming of the bees, I don't know how many of we are attracted like. But then Krishna is very attracted. Why? Because he feels that love offered by them. So he is very attracted. And not only he is attracted, you see here the reciprocation of Krishna. When he hears the buzzing of the bees, then he takes it as a compliment so that he can play his flute on that same note. So Krishna takes his note. It's like you see sometimes Jugalbandi. Somebody is playing tabla, somebody is playing, and then they try to kind of match each other and like that. So Krishna takes that as a opportunity to have a concert. So they are also singing and then Krishna plays his flute. So when bees are buzzing, then Krishna takes the flute and then in that same tone, he also tries to play the flute. And then he says that Adriyan Yarhi Sandhita Venu. So he acknowledges them that very nice. I'll also try, playing like you. And then he makes the sound. Sarasi Sarasa Hansa Vihangash. Sarasi means the lake. And in that lake there is a Sarasa Hamsa Vihanga. All these the birds are there, which are there in this. Some of the birds are a little far. Yesterday we saw that Krishna used to take, the cows used to drink and then they used to go in the forest. So these birds were a little far. But when they hear the flute very sweetly sounding, these birds get into ecstasy. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes also, Sarasi means devotional service. It represents. And anybody connected to Saras, that is all the Sarasa, Hamsa, they are like devotees, very intelligent. Hamsa also means, we say Paramhamsa. One is a very intelligent, perfected devotee who knows how to segregate milk and water, or the Sat and Asat, material and spiritual. So when the devotees who are very intelligent, when they hear Krishna's flute, they go in ecstasy. So Sarasi Sarasa Hamsa Vihangash Charu Gita Hrutchetasa Etya, that they give their hearts for that Venu Nada. That when the sweet sound comes, then they give their heart to that. So this is one thing which we learn and see practically everybody in Vrindavan. Whenever they hear the flute, they give up everything. They give up their house, they give up their relatives, they give up their work, and they are like, heart has already reached Krishna. Like that. So now also we have that facility. We cannot say that, okay, Krishna's flute, when we'll sing, when we'll hear that. Maybe a few lifetimes. But the same flute of Krishna we can have in our life also. And we can see that when that flute becomes, comes through the acharyas, their Vani. So same, flute is getting played. When Prabhupada is speaking in the Bauri, it's like the very pathetic place, and Prabhupada was giving class, singing Hare Krishna. But we see that because it is purely sung, represented by pure devotee of the Lord, whoever came in touch, they gave up everything. So the same effect is there which happens in Vrindavan, that happened in Bowery, New York. And it is happening all over the world. So that's why the Acharya, he sings Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Chitte Te Kariya Aikya Arana Kariha Mane Asha. That a devotee who is very intelligent, he is excited when he hears the words emanating from the lotus mouth of his Guru. The way the gopis, they become very disturbed, greatly ecstatic, they want to surrender. Similarly, in our life also the same facility is given to us by the mercy of acharyas to experience same eagerness, same surrender. So when we are dedicating our lives for that sound emanating from the lotus mouth of acharyas, then we are also in the same line of gopis, the way the gopis are attracted. And we see that so many devotees being attracted by the sweet sound emanating from the lotus mouth of pure devotees like Prabhupada, they gave up everything. So we see that the Vrindavan pastime can be seen, enacted now also, wherever pure devotees are there. The same mood is there, same procedure is happening, same the Leela is happening. So here it says the Harim upasatate yata chitta hanta malita drusho dhruta mauna. So they were very apt in hearing Krishna's flute. They closed their eyes. So the acharyas, they say that closing the eyes, here he says that milita drusho, milita means closed, drusha means eyes. Eyes represents all the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, eyes, ear, nose, vagara. So they close it, and then they were meditating on Krishna. So the devotees also, they close all their work done by all this our senses, and then they just focus on Krishna. Milita drusho dhruta mauna. So today we saw a few of the words from this 4 shlokas. We saw that how the Gopas are describing the glories of Krishna, which is very attractive to Krishna. Krishna becomes very pleased because that is his nature. Anything, whatever offered by devotees, that is very pleasing to him. And then he calls out the cows. And we saw that when he is calling out the cows, everybody is in ecstasy. It's not the only cows are in ecstasy. So he calls and then everybody is in ecstasy. Like some of the Prabhupada disciples, they tell that when Prabhupada's letter used to come, some temple is there, and then Prabhupada will write a letter to one devotee in that temple. He was telling that whenever that letter is to come, all the devotees used to be in different services. When the letter will come, they will blow a conch, middle of the 12 o'clock in the noon or something like that. And then when the conch means, they know what Prabhupada letter has come. So everybody leaving aside everything, they will rush to the temple hall. Then they will come to the temple hall. then the devotee whose name is there, to so and so Das, he will be so fortunate because he will be reading that. Then he will take that letter, then he will read. All the devotees will sitting there because that is not his letter now. It is for everybody. There is nothing kind of personal about it. So everybody will be very ecstatic. And now also we read, relish, and take so many lessons from these letters which are not written to us, to some devotee. So here also, when Krishna is playing flute, it is for everybody. Everybody thinks that it's for me only. The cows think that it's for me. The birds think that they are for me. And then everybody thinks like that. And that is perfect. So the flowers and the fruits, they are like just blossoming. And all the Vrindavan is just appreciating Krishna's coming there, bowing down their heads in the respectful manner. And then all these bees are having a special pastime with Krishna, having a jugalbandi of different singing and playing and like that. And then this Sarasa, Hamsa, they also come, and then they are fully lost their consciousness for serving Krishna, absorbing Krishna through their ears. Yeah. So we'll end here. Sorry for the late. Anybody has any comments, questions? I don't know. I'm not. Yes.
हरे कृष्ण। जब भगवान श्री कृष्ण वेणु बजाए, तब जब उन्होंने वेणु सुना, तब सारे गोपियां अपना सब काम छोड़ के प्रभु के पास पहुंच गई। तब प्रभु उनको पूछा, आप विवाहित स्त्रियां हैं, आप पति की सेवा में है और सास ससुर बच्चे सब हैं, तो आप सबको छोड़ के आई क्यों? आपका धर्म है पति का सेवा करना। उन्होंने कहानी सुनाई। बोले एक ब्राह्मण होता है और वो उसका पति यज्ञ करता है। यज्ञशाला में उसके पत्नी उसके साथ बैठी है, उनका एक छोटा बच्चा है, वो पास में खेल रहा है। और जब अग्निकुंड में अग्नि प्रज्वलित होती है तो बालक जो है उसे पता नहीं रहता है क्या गर्म होती है, क्या होता है, उसके तरफ जा रहा है। तो उसके ब्राह्मण के पत्नी ने सोचा, अब मैं क्या करना चाहिए, ये बालक को संभालू, ये यज्ञ का जो सेवा चल रही है उसे करते रहूं, यज्ञ में डिस्टर्ब ना हो। तब उन्होंने विचार किया कि मैं पति की सेवा में जो यज्ञ हो रहा है करते रहूंगी। जब बालक अग्नि में पहुंचा, अग्नि उसको जलाया नहीं। सोचा है पतिव्रता स्त्री का बेटा है, जलाऊंगा तो वो शाप देगी। तब प्रभु बताए, इसी प्रकार पति का सेवा करना ही तुम्हारा धर्म है, वापस लौट जाओ। तब उन्होंने प्रभु को दूसरी कथा सुनाई। वो बोले, एक ऐसे ब्राह्मण होता है, वो तीर्थ यात्रा में जाता है 6 महीने के लिए प्रचार के लिए, और उस पत्नी जो है वो पति को अपना मूर्ति बना के देता है मिट्टी का। बोला, इसका पूजा करो, आरती करो, भोग लगाओ, सब इसी को करो, और जब तक मैं घर में नहीं हूँ। फिर 6 महीने के बाद जब वो वापस आते हैं तो उस समय आरती करती रहती है, डिंग डिंग बजा रही है, आरती हो रही है। उस समय उसके जो असली पति है वो दरवाजे के पास आते हैं और बजाए इससे। तो गोपियां पूछती है, जब असली पति आ जाए तो क्या उनको मिट्टी के पुतले की ही पूजा करते रहना चाहिए या पति के लिए दरवाजा खोलना चाहिए? तो फिर प्रभु बोले, जब पति आए तो पति के लिए दरवाजा खोलना चाहिए, फिर मिट्टी के पुतले की आवश्यकता नहीं रही। तो इस प्रकार फिर गोपिया ने, प्रभु ने अपने हार स्वीकार किए। बोले, आप लोग जीते हैं, आज मैं हार मान लिया आपके सामने। तो प्रभु की महिमा है, वो आप भक्त के सामने कभी नहीं हारने वाले भी प्रभु अपने भक्त के सामने हार स्वीकार करते हैं। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Okay, behind.
Hare Krishna. Very much for simplifying this class. At one level, we hear there are very elevated references of the mood of Vrindavan. And at the other level is our day-to-day life, where we have dealings with a lot of material dealings. And there's a constant endeavor to sweeten them and improve those relations. So there is a bridge. I mean, there's a long bridge to pass. So I'm just wondering whether some for whom the mood is very automatically, they get the mood, so the download may be very easy. But if the mood is not very automatic, then along with action to please Krishna, should you also pursue action to please and improve, these material relations? Because it takes very conscious endeavor. It's not like you only listen and, automatically the sweetness can transfer from plane A to plane B. So along with action because there's always focus only on action to please Krishna. But at times I feel there needs to be very conscious action to even pursue and improve very material relationships, especially immediate family, people who we take for granted, and day-to-day dealings. Because it doesn't become that automatic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. We understand this, that the activities are there and then consciousness is behind. But then the real training, when we say the real training is not just external activities. That happens very quickly. The real training is of consciousness. Like you have seen, sometimes small kids, they come with their father, and then the father kind of pays obeisances to Prabhupada, and then this kid even don't have to tell, he also just sleeps there. Doesn't know what is he's doing, but then he just... So externally paying obeisances, that takes, even a small child can do. But then the obeisances is just a external activity. The real obeisances is through the consciousness of surrendering to Prabhupada. That comes by training only. So Prabhupada has given us whole morning program and then services and so all other things which can bridge that gap between the external etiquettes of Krishna consciousness and the internal heart of a devotee. So that gap is bridged by that training which we receive. So that is important. Thank you for that. Hare Krishna. So we'll end here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki.